Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Olivia's Obscura. My name is Olivia, of course, and thank you for joining me on this beautiful day. I'm having a great day. Let me just put that out there. I have been okay. So yesterday was Friday. It's currently Saturday morning as it stands. Yesterday, I got home from work because I work mornings at the chiropractor. I got home at like 2 o'clock and I said, okay, bitch, you have to lock the fuck in and get your laundry list of things done so you can have a good fucking weekend. And that I did. I was blowing through my to-do list yesterday. I cleaned the cat's water fountain. I cleaned the vacuum filter, which are two things that I really don't like doing, but they're never as bad as, for some reason, I always think that like cleaning stuff is going to be way worse than it is. And then when I start doing it, I'm like, oh, this actually isn't that bad. I just work it up in my head to be kind of a big deal. I did that. I finished I had to update my lesson for my printmaking workshops because I think I talked about this in an episode last spring, but I got renewed to do more printmaking workshops for sixth graders through the nonprofit that I work with. So I had to update my presentation for the new school year. I did that. What else did I get done yesterday? I mean, I conceptualized my Halloween costume, which was not on the list, but nonetheless, something that did need to get done, and I'm thrilled about it. The Amazon supplies are on the way. I am going... Okay, I kept seeing these TikTok, like videos of people who were like, it girl Halloween costumes. This is not a new trend. This has been around for the past few years on TikTok, where people are like, it girl Halloween costumes. And it's just kind of like a concept costume. Like, but I kept seeing martinis or espresso martinis this year in particular. And if you follow me outside of the podcast, like, you would know that a martini is like a pretty common motif in a lot of my artwork and things like that. So I'm a big fan of the martini aesthetic. Do I like a martini? No, bitch. I actually think it's a punishment to drink. I do love an espresso martini, but a regular old martini with an olive, like, absolutely foul. However, yes, I am obsessed with the aesthetic of a martini. But all of these it girl Halloween martini costumes were literally just like kind of a vaguely sparkly green outfit. Like, literally just like a regular cute outfit. And I'm like, I don't know, like, if you're gonna be a martini, like, why don't we just do it the right way? And then I was like, wait, why don't I take this on? Why don't I bear the burden of being a dirty martini the right way? So, yeah, like, I kind of worked out, I ordered this, like, not plexiglass, clear plastic that is supposed to be used as a desk cover or like a craft work surface, but it's like very flexible and you can cut it with an X-Acto knife. So I'm going to use that to like make the like cone shape of a martini glass and make it into like a headpiece. I still don't know the exact logistics of how I'm going to like get it to stay on my head, but I'm thinking I'm going to do like attach it to a headband or something like that. I need to weigh it in person to see how heavy it is, because that will affect the way in which I attach it to my head. But I'm gonna do like big paper mache olives like as a garnish inside the clear plastic martini glass headpiece topper, and then the rest of me is just gonna be like slutty costumey vibes. Like, I'm gonna do like silver, like metallic hot pants and a garter belt and like fishnet stockings. I'm gonna go see if I can run to Goodwill and find some like I would really love to find like a cheap pair of like pleaser heels or like some just kind of like big slutty stilettos, because I think that would really add to the whole vibe. Like a bustier top. So that's like the dirty part of the martini, right? Because I'm gonna be dressed in lingerie. I'm excited. I every year I go, fuck Halloween, I hate Halloween, I'm not doing it. And then for some reason I always kind of come around to the idea of having some kind of costume. And I'm really excited about this one this year. I'm really excited about it. I think that if anything, I'm going to get a really good picture out of it. And I'm excited because my friend Brooke, who you've heard me talk about on here, and her band, Daddy, is throwing a themed concert on October 12th. So last night I was kind of like, oh my God, October 12th is actually in like 2 weeks. I need to get this done, because the good thing about that is that then I have 2 occasions to wear the costume. Like, I can wear it to the October 12th event, and then I can wear it on actual Halloween. So to me, that is more worth it in terms of putting a little bit of effort in, because it's not like a 1 night only thing, right? It's a 2 nights. So I feel like I'm getting more of my money's worth. Anyway, what else? What the hell was I talking about? Oh, my to-do list. Yeah, I just got a bunch of like little stuff around the house done that I like needed to get done, and I'm feeling honestly just iconic this morning. I woke up, I slept in till about 9, which was so nice. Ty is gone this weekend. He is at the same but different festival, which I didn't know about until like honestly last year. Apparently it's like a fairly local, like a lot of local bands from San Diego play. It's also like, I don't know, it's in Lake Paris, I think. But they get a lot of like DJs. I don't know. I actually don't know. I sound like an idiot talking about it, but he's there. He's taking pictures of the festival and staying there. So I have the house to myself for the weekend. It's turned into a little bit of a bachelorette pad, if you will. I was sleeping in the middle of the bed, you bet. I woke up this morning, made my coffee, took my coffee back to bed, and like sat in bed and scrolled and like did a crossword puzzle, made a couple TikToks. Like, oh my God, I was just living my life. And then I do miss Ty is the thing. Like, it is kind of silly because like we live together. I live with it. I see him all the time. But like last night I did wake up at like 4 a.m. and I was like, where's Ty? And then I'm like, oh, he's good. He's just not here. But yeah, I have been living with this man for the past 3 years. So sue me, I do miss him when he's gone. But I'm having a really good time, actually. My besties are coming over tonight. We're going to have like a little like sleepover party, and I'm thrilled. I'm also reading Runaway Train, which is the Eric Roberts memoir. I need to finish it because I don't know what I was thinking. I thought that was going to be my episode this week. The book arrived on last Saturday, I think, when Avery was in town. My sister Avery came to stay with us, and we were like honestly too busy living in the moment. Again, sue me. So I didn't get a chance to start reading it until last night. And still last night, I was kind of like, I can finish this book in 1 night and talk about it tomorrow on the podcast. No, bitch, I could not do that. I just am not a good reader. Like, I'm literate, you know what I mean? I know how to read. I just am not good at like sitting down and locking in and reading like an entire book cover to cover, or like ravenously reading a book. Like, I'm not like that. So I limped my way through a couple chapters last night and said, you know what? I'm just going to make it through that book on my own time. We are going to be talking about it on the podcast, hopefully next week or the week after that. But yeah, so far I think I'm like 2 chapters in, and it's already like very name droppy, which I'm obsessed with. Like, he keeps teasing like his fallout with Julia, and like, but he's like, but I'll get to that later. And I'm just so excited. He name dropped Rihanna on like page 1. So I was like, okay, here we go. So I'm not going to say it's a good book, because like, it's kind of not, but like, was I engaged so far? Yes. So hopefully I get some tea on what went down between Eric and Emma and Julia Roberts. So stay tuned for that. But this week, actually, I need to talk about a man that has been on my radar for a couple weeks now. I don't know what happened, but maybe like 3 or 4 weeks ago, my Instagram Reels algorithm just was crazy. And it's been crazy. I get fed the most insane, certifiably nuts TikToks, and not TikToks, Reels, sorry. And I've never been a Reels watcher, because as long as Reels have existed, I was always getting fed boring scam Reels from like small businesses who are like, I can show you how to make $20,000 a month running a faceless account. Comment course to get my free course on how to make 5 figures a month running reels. And I'm like, this is just, I don't like it. I didn't even watch reels like literally until a month ago. And then something shifted within me. And now I have the most insane algorithm of, it's kind of like Christian content, Catholic content, alpha male, like manosphere red pill content, and kind of like anything that fits into those adjacent spaces. So I am here to tell you today about a man that once I interacted with one of his reels, obviously, like they started giving me so many other ones of him and like all of the people kind of in his circle. This guy's name is Andy Elliott, okay? And Ty, like I tried to talk to him, or I was trying to like tell, I was over with Montana and Brooke and Ty the other day, and I was trying to like show them a video of him, and Ty was like, I cannot look at this guy. Like I hate that you watch his content. Like this is one thing that I genuinely just like I cannot put myself through watching this. And I'm like, okay, that's fine. That's why I have a podcast, so I can have an outlet for the deplorable shit that I run across. So that's why you are hearing about this today, is because none of my friends in real life wanted to hear about this guy, but I have a morbid fascination with him. Like, it's like a train wreck that I can't look away from, but it's terrible. I'm going to play the audio from the first Andy Elliott reel that I saw that kind of sucked me into this rabbit hole, and then I will give you context, okay? So here we go.
Everybody reach to your neighbor to the left and the right, grab their love handle. Come on, go ahead. You feel some shit? Not fat shaming anybody. Can you see the undiscipline? I can match that shit to your pay stub, guaranteed. I believe if you're physically fit, you're going to kill it mentally, right? Instead of breaking, like a lot of people mentally, you're going to be breaking records. And then with business, you're just going to destroy it.
Okay. So in that video, that's a clip. He makes all kinds of video clips that basically all are the same, but like a little bit different. He definitely uses Opus Clip. I started using the Opus Clip for work at the chiropractor because I do their Instagram. And I didn't know that was a thing until recently, but as soon as I started using it, I was like, this is what all those alpha male podcasters use to make those weird kind of like contextless clickbaity clips. That's definitely what he does with the subtitles, where one word flashes up on the screen at a time. You're getting the vibe. But this guy, Andy Elliott, gets hired out to go into car dealerships, solar panel companies, any kind of like sales company to yell at the salesmen to like quote unquote coach them. But that's not how this whole thing started. Andy Elliott, before he was a coach, which you can't see me because this is an audio medium, but every time I say coach, just picture me rolling my eyes and doing air quotes, okay? Because yeah, like the pyramid scheme of coaches coaching coaches must be studied, but that's not what I'm here for today. We're just going to kind of dial in on Mr. Andy Elliott here. He was once a car salesman. Before he coached car salesmen, he was a car salesman in a little town called Norman, Oklahoma. Have you heard of it? Me neither, bitch. I would have never even dug deeper into this man if I hadn't read his Instagram comments, because I kept seeing comments under his reels that were like, is this the guy who ratted out his coworkers and sent them to prison? And I'm like, okay, consider me locked the fuck in. Like, there's tea here. Let's go, girls. So I do a little bit of Googling, and there's been a few people who've made like videos on this guy, that I'll link in the description, because I watched them to kind of get a bigger picture of what he's up to. But for the most part, this guy, like, as far as I can tell as an outsider, like, carries a pretty big, like, part of the coaching industry. Like he definitely isn't publicly ridiculed as much as I think he should be. People definitely do think he's legit. People hire him to yell at their salespeople. But I kind of want to start at the beginning. So let's go back in time to when he was a car salesman for a big red dealership in Norman, Oklahoma. So there was this dealership conglomerate in Norman, Oklahoma called Big Red Dealerships, and it included Big Red Sports and Imports, Big Red Kia, Norman Yamaha, Norman Mitsubishi, and Mays Kia. Those were the dealerships that were kind of involved in this fraudulent activity, which we'll get into right now. We have 4 major players in this story. We have Chris Mays. We have a man named Charles Gooch, which you couldn't make up if you tried, and then Courtney Wells. And these 3 were co-owners of the Big Red dealerships. Where Andy comes into play here is that he was a manager of one of the dealerships. I'm reading from an article that I will link in the show notes, but, quote, the Big Red dealerships used advertisements to target potential customers with poor credit, and that Mays, Gooch, and Wells then fraudulently induced lenders to approve loans for such customers by documenting that the customers provided down cash payments and or trade-in vehicles when that was untrue. In some circumstances, the purported cash down payment was fictitious, and the Big Red dealerships referred to those payments as King Cash on internal documents. The jury also heard testimony that in late 2014, one lender discovered these fake cash down payments, and Mays emailed threats to the CEO of that lender to stop the lender from further investigating the Big Red dealerships. After the loan proceeds were received from lenders, Big Red dealership employees generated checks to the customers, forged the customers' signatures on the backs, and deposited the checks in Big Red dealerships' accounts. And this was happening between 2014 and 2019. So there was like a 5-year period where they were forging checks, basically. And there's actually like 4 types of fraud they were participating in. There was the King Cash, which was mentioned. I'm reading again from the article. This is from Andy Elliott. Okay, so he was telling this to the court, like in his trial. This is from the trial transcripts. So in 2012, when I started, December 6th, you asked me what was the sales process like. When we ask a customer how much money down they have, and we would kind of figure out where we're at on the deal. If that bank approval would come back at like $1,500 down, and let's say your customer did not have any money down, well, we would still put $1,500 on the contract. And basically, we could still sell that customer a car. And then in the finance office, we would just give them a receipt showing that they gave us $1,500 down, make a copy of it, put it in the deal, the loan will fund. We would tell the customers that if you tell the bank you didn't put the money down, obviously you're not going to have a car because you're going to need to bring it back. But we're helping you out, so we're putting $1,500 down for you in the contract because that's what the banks need. And that was called King Cash. And it was fake cash down, and it would allow us to sell more cars when customers didn't have cash. And we would put it in the back screen on every deal, King Cash. And that means that it was just fake money. It didn't exist. The customers never gave it to us. So on top of doing, crime, this is, very predatory on people. Like, they're selling people cars that they couldn't afford. They shouldn't have been able to afford. They're ruining people's lives. They were also involved in purchase price fraud. And we're entering another character in this whole thing. Her name is Donna. And Donna was a loan officer who was accepting bribes from these Big Red dealerships people. Quote, we found that Tinker had a deal called purchase price on their buying grid. And it wasn't a loan to value like we've been talking about. Like 18 grand is what this is worth, so they'll give this much money. It just said purchase price, which means we would literally take a $6,000 motorcycle and sell it for $26,000. And we could send it over and they would give us the money. So we needed to get those deals to Donna. So now Donna is the one accepting bribes. And they are artificially inflating the prices of motorcycles in a big way. Like, the difference between $6,000 and $26,000 is a lot of money. $20,000 to be exact, if you're doing the math. They were also doing trade-in fraud. This is a question and answer between the lawyer and Andy Elliott from the trial transcripts. Andy says they're purchasing a 2010 F-150 with an invoice of $12,500 and their sale price is $22,000. And the lawyer says, and up above that, does it have the terms in terms of cash down, price, net trade? Is the down payment on here? Andy says, it says 0 cash down, but it says $6,800 for the trade. So this one doesn't have cash down on it. The lawyer, at the bottom of that page, what does it show they're trading in? Andy, a 2002 Kia Rio. Lawyer, and is this credit application something that goes to the lender? Andy, yes, ma'am. Lawyer, what does it show they're trading in? Andy, a 2002 Kia Rio with 999,000 miles. Lawyer, okay, and on the right side, it shows a trade-in allowance of how much for that? Andy, $6,800. Lawyer, and this is in 2016. So here's the thing, is that I'm not very well versed in like car dealership dealings, you know what I mean? But I'm not quite sure what is going on here. I couldn't explain this in legal terms, and I feel like the way it's written out is a little bit confusing, but basically they're like inflating the amount of trade-in value that a car would have. It says 0 cash down, but it says $6,800 for the trade. So this one doesn't have cash down on it. So the trade-in fraud, I'm a bit more unclear on, but I think that's just because I'm stupid. But do not fear, they were also doing a fourth type of fraud involving pawned items. I'm reading again from the trial transcripts that took place in November of 2021. Andy Elliott says, Norman Pawn and Gun was an entity that was created to basically King Cash went away. It didn't exist anymore. But our business was suffering because, bad credit customers don't have cash down. Without cash down, there's no deals, no profit. So Norman Pawn and Gun was made to be the second version of King Cash, which means that now there's actually an entity and we could say that we would pawn something from somebody and that would be the cash down. So they're just making a fake pawn shop in order to make fake money. At first, Andy did not admit to being part of any of this. He basically said that he did not participate in any of these dealings. He was not directly connected. He was simply a manager for one of the dealerships. But this would obviously turn out to not be true because during the trial I think this is from November 5th of 2029, he admits to basically doing this. He said, we were, doing the King Cash thing. The lawyer confirms, you were a part of that? And he says, yes, sir. The lawyer asks, you were the one doing this? And Andy says, yes. So he was directly involved, and we know this because of some emails that were being sent between Andy, and if you'll remember earlier, I introduced a character named Courtney Wells, and she was one of the co-owners of the Big Red dealerships. Andy and Courtney were exchanging some choice emails around 2017, 2018, and I'm going to read them to you because they are hilarious. Andy claimed in the trial that he did not send these emails. However, they were sent from the company email address. So Andy's work email, Andy@BigRedSports.com, messaging Courtney at BigRedSports.com. This is from Friday, August 4th, 2014. He writes to her, meet me upstairs after all the girls leave. Your fucking pussy felt so good yesterday. I've got to give my thick, fat cock to you again. I want you on your knees, mouth wide open when I walk in so I can slide my cock down your throat. I have a huge load of cum ready for your nasty little mouth after I rail the fuck out of your tight little pink pussy. Text me on the CL phone when it's clear and be naked on your knees. Moment of silence to take that in. That was sent from his company email address. Now, fucking your coworker is not a crime. But if you're going to do it, please don't work out the logistics on your company email, for God's sake. A few hours later, Courtney replies, and she says, dude, don't hit me up on company email. I'll for sure let you know when it's clear. My pussy is so sore from yesterday. You fucked the shit out of me. Did you like the pic I sent you of my red swollen pussy? And get ready, I'm going to try and swallow every drop of that load. Signed, Courtney Wells. You can't make this shit up. Now, if you're wondering, which I know you were, Andy Elliott was married at the time. He is still married to this day to his wife, Jacqueline Elliott. And I'm looking at an Instagram post from July of this year, 2024, and he was mentioning that they'd been married for 16 years. So that means that they would have gotten married in, 2008? Is that the right math that I'm doing? So at the time of these emails being sent between him and Courtney, he was 10 years into his marriage. And what I find to be pretty funny is that in his Instagram bio, he says, in all caps, of course, fit AF, best marriage, badass dad, love God, and a $100 million plus business. So he is getting on the internet and claiming to have the best marriage, which, guys, here's the thing. I know we all know this because my listeners aren't stupid idiots. But if someone is getting on Instagram, social media, whatever, all the time talking about how amazing their marriage or relationship is, I can guarantee you it is the worst relationship that you would never want to be in. There we go. I said it. The longer the caption, the worse the marriage. And that to me is a pretty general rule of thumb that we can all follow. And this is not really a part that I'm going to touch on, but in case you were curious, he does have 3 children. I'm actually going to need you to see what this guy looks like. Like, I do think the visual is imperative to understanding his kind of essence. This is a bald, the baldest man I've ever seen. And he is always wearing, during his sales training coaching sessions, one of 2 outfits. It's either, he's always wearing a shirt, a black skin tight t-shirt that says Elliott on it, because that's who he is. And all his little disciples, all of his little coaches that he coaches to be coaches, they wear shirts that say Elliott Army, which is so corny, but whatever. Paired with this shirt, he is wearing either skin tight upper thigh shorts. We're talking not even a 5-inch inseam, you guys. I think we're talking a 3-inch inseam, and so tight. I can't believe they're not cutting off the circulation of his thighs. If he's not wearing that, he is wearing skin tight jeans, genuinely pants that look like they had to get spray painted onto this man. And they're always a little bit too short, like a flood's coming. And he is always wearing, with these pants, the most fucked up pair of navy blue crushed velvet loafers. They look like house slippers. But what's funny is that he obviously thinks he's eating. He obviously thinks that his outfit card is not declining. But unfortunately, it really is. So back to the emails, because there were more emails sent between Andy and Courtney at the Big Red dealership. This email is from February 12th, 2018, so about 6 months after the initial emails I read were sent. She says to him, again, on the company email, don't get caught taking money from these wholesalers. He's for sure not paying attention to anything and hasn't since Lindsay fucked those high school boys. Please make sure it always runs a profit, and a couple hundred per car to us in cash only for those wholesalers is perfect. Be smart and don't get greedy. I actually am not so sure where Lindsay comes into this, but I am obviously very disappointed in the fact that she was sleeping with minors. Don't think I need to explain that one. Maybe that will be a deep dive for a different day, but unfortunately, I do need to gloss over that crime in order to cover the other crimes that were happening. Andy replies to that email saying, I got this. You stress way too much over nothing. I got these guys right where I want them. They bring us cash every week, and I promise the boss man will never find out. I've got him sold on these guys are all straight and would never give cash under the table. He suspects nothing. Now relax and let daddy do his job. End quote. Now, the only reason that Andy Elliott is not sitting in prison for his crimes is because he ratted out the other three coworkers, Courtney Wells, Charles Gooch, and whoever the first guy was, his last name was Mays. I don't know. He basically just like ratted them out to the FBI. So he is off the hook for bank fraud, false statements to banks, wire fraud, aggravated identity theft, and anything else that is associated with the King Cash fraud. All because he sent his coworkers to prison. That's right, those bitches are in jail. And here's the thing, I don't believe in prison really for nonviolent offenders. Do I think those three people should be in prison? Personally, no. What I do think is that they should have had their bank accounts drained, and I think that they should never be able to work in the industry again. I think that to me is an appropriate punishment. I actually find very little like joy out of like seeing people get sent to prison who are nonviolent offenders. I don't know. I don't know. Not to be like woke on the podcast or whatever. Sorry guys. However, it is baby back bitch behavior to do all this shit and then turn around and tattle on your coworkers to the FBI in order to get immunity from the crimes. That's bitch ass behavior. Okay, so now that we have a little bit of context about Andy Elliott, we're going to fast forward to more present times where he's doing his whole coaching, sales training shtick, making stupid Instagram clips and the like. One of the things that Andy loves to say is that he, when he was working as a car salesman, made $715,000 selling cars in 1 year. Now, if that seems like a lot of money and you're wondering how he made all that selling cars, it would be because he didn't. He was a manager at this dealership and he was being paid a 6-figure salary to begin with. So he is going into car dealerships to train the salesmen and he's yelling at them for, not working hard enough. They need to have a 6-pack or else they would never be able to have the discipline required to make this much money selling cars. Bitch, you didn't even make all that money selling cars. You were being paid a 6-figure manager salary, which a salesman would never be making a 6-figure base salary. I just did a quick Google on the average salary for a car salesman in the United States, and what Google AI is telling me is that it's between $80,000 and $126,000 per year. With an estimated additional pay of around $46,000, which could be commission and cash bonuses and profit sharing and whatever. Honestly, I think that $80,000 to $126,000 salary range, that to me seems pretty high. I'm reading a Reddit thread right now where someone's asking, I have a couple buddies working at a Toyota dealership and they both claim to make $2,000 to $3,000 a week. They say that's the norm at their dealership. I'm considering quitting my current job and going there since they're making over $100,000 a year. So the comments are kind of ranging, but people in the comments are kind of like, that's not really that true. They're probably working, 60 hours a week, working 7 days a week. And I guess the general consensus is that most car salesmen are making around $60,000 a year. But that's not going to stop Andy Elliott from yelling at you to take off your shirt, okay?
A Ferrari life, Ferrari body. You gotta put good fuel in that shit, right? If you put gas in a diesel truck, it ain't gonna run. And I think that a lot of people are diesels in here, but they're putting gas in their diesel truck. The more healthier you can get, the more you're gonna fuck shit up. Because it makes you feel good about yourself. It puts you in a good mood all day long when you know you're taking care of yourself. When you're eating clean, you're happy. Fat. I don't like that. No. The people that you've been with right now don't care that you're fat. fat. They don't want to push you. Positive peer pressure. You know, negative peer pressure would be me walking up to you guys right now and saying, look, dude, you've had a hard life. Let's go drink at the bar. Oh, my God. Dude, the confidence that you lack, which I can see in your production, doesn't exist because you look in the mirror and don't like who you see. You need that confidence. It's up to you to get it. No one else can work out for you.
Oh my God, I don't know why he overlays the most insanely loud music over his videos. It's probably because he knows what he's saying isn't actually that good. But yeah, so you can see that he has there's a real line here where he body shames people because he convinces them that they would be able to sell more cars, sell more solar panels, whatever, if they were in shape. He has an entire video. I can't find it. But I saw it. He has a million reels, and I should have been better at bookmarking them. But there was one where he said that if he is hiring someone to be on his team and they don't have a six-pack, he gives them a period of time to acquire the six-pack of abs, or else they get fired. Like, he will not have someone on his team who does not have a six-pack, which to me is just like the funniest false equivalency. Like, I don't know, like, it's just so ridiculous to imply that if you are hitting the gym having a six-pack, then you're also just like going to be a good salesman, ? But here's another amazing video that I love where he is talking about having a success orgasm. Okay,
Ever had an orgasm? You know what it fucking feels like? Some of you guys have never had a fucking success orgasm. You have no idea how good it feels to hit big goals and do fucking hard shit and do it day in and day out and I'm not even fucking around with you guys. I get them every day.
He gets a success orgasm every day.
You guys know what's bad for you? Yes or no? Yes. Okay, is alcohol bad? Is doing drugs bad? Is hanging out with toxic people bad? You guys all know this. These things you guys are very aware of. You know what takes you out? You know what's taking every one of you out in this room? Social media. I'm going to read all these notes. I'm going to go through all these things, and I'm going to tell you, instead of you hunting and killing, you are literally waiting for the endorphin to chime, ping, ding, or hit. You don't even understand what's taking you out. You're thinking about, like, I don't do drugs. I work out every day. I don't do alcohol, right? Bro, you're getting fucking smoked on social media. If you wake up in the morning and before you exercise, before you work out, before you drink a glass of water, before you cold plunge, you get on your phone, before you get out of bed, if you reach over to grab your phone, you're a fucking addict. Say, oh yeah, but that's the generation. Really? Okay, play that game.
Man, this guy would hate to see me coming. This guy would hate to see me waking up in the morning and scrolling on TikTok for an hour. But guess what? I've never sold cars on fraudulent loans, so I guess we all win some, lose some, don't we now? So if we go ahead and pop over to Andy Elliott's website, Elliott247.com, his kind of company, I guess, is called the Elliott Group, because, I mean, yeah, basically he was like kind of blacklisted from working in Norman, Oklahoma. Like, I've seen people on Reddit and stuff say that like no one in their right mind in Oklahoma would ever do business with him again because he's a, fraud. So he relocated to Scottsdale, Arizona, I think, the address on his website is from Fountain Hills, Arizona. But regardless, he moved his family from Oklahoma to Arizona where he could start a different grift, because that's what this is. All of this stupid coaching, one-on-one coaching, like hiring him to speak at your event and like hiring them to speak at your sales events or whatever, like, it's a grift. It's a fucking grift. He moved from one scam to another. But he doesn't just sell his presence as a trainer, as someone who verbally berates people at live events. He also sells criminally overpriced merchandise. So if you go to shop.elliott247.com, you will find that he is selling wristbands that say Elliott Armor on them. Elliott Army, sorry. He's selling like a hydro flask that says Elliott Army on it. And he really did rip off the United States Army aesthetic. Like, I don't know, man. I don't know if that's like IP or whatever, but I would hate to defend the military, but I would love to see Andy Elliott get slapped with another lawsuit. So all I'm saying is that looks very similar to the actual US Army logo. That's all I'm going to say. He's selling a tank top, a Ghost Fit Infinity tank top for men at $60, 60. He's selling a perforated baseball cap for $40. He's selling a short sleeve t-shirt and a women's tank top, both for $60, you guys. Who is spending $60 on a ugly tank top that says Elliot on it? It's so ugly. I actually think that the stock image they used for the product listing, I don't think it's a real product. I think it's a mock-up. It looks like they just put the Elliot text on the photo itself and not the actual tank top. It's really fucking cheesy. But he also has a brand called Hostage Tape. And did he start this company or does he just talk about it all the time? He has to have some kind of ownership stake in this because he's always posting about it on his Instagram. It's basically like mouth tape or nose tape, like mouth tape for when you sleep, which is a very common practice. Like I know a lot of people do mouth taping. I actually often think I should do it. I think I might start, not because of Andy Elliott, but because I really clench my jaw when I sleep. And I've heard a lot of people say that taping your mouth when you're sleeping can help you not clench your jaw. So I think that might actually be good for me. But his hostage tape is like this black tape, like a whole strip that covers your entire mouth. Like you can't get in any air. And from what I've been seeing is what people actually recommend is that you take a really thin piece of tape and just tape over like the center of your lips so that your sides of your mouth are still, I guess, exposed. I don't know. I would think that I would feel like really claustrophobic if my whole mouth was taped shut. I don't know. But he not only sells the mouth tape, he also sells nose strips, which are like smaller black strips of tape that work as like, you know, what are those Breathe Right strips or whatever? Like it's basically a glorified Breathe Right strip. Okay, there's this really funny video on his Instagram. I'll post it for you guys on my Instagram, on the Obscurapod Instagram. But he is taking a picture of all of his team, like all of the coworkers and like people on his Elliott Army team or whatever in his alleged private jet, which we'll get to that in a second. But they're all like sleeping, sitting upright in a private jet with the hostage tape over their mouths and over their noses. And it does genuinely look like they're being held hostage. It's giving Blink Twice. Like, I don't know why he chose to post that. But the funny thing is that his private jet isn't actually his private jet. He posted a photo, I think in 2022, of a very poorly photoshopped private jet that had his Elliott Army branding all over it. But people found the original photo that was like untouched and it was not his private jet. Like he literally just lied about having a private jet, which to me is like gotta be one of the funniest things you could do is steal a picture of someone else's private jet, Photoshop it to have your brand name on it, and then post it online claiming it as your own. Like, oh my God, that is like the biggest loser behavior ever, and I'm obsessed with it. A 1 month supply of the hostage tape is $24.95. A 3 month supply is $59.99. A 6 month supply is $99.95. If you would like to buy a 360 piece pack, a 1 year supply of hostage mouth tape, that's going to run you $199.99. You also might have heard him mention in one of the audios that I played that he is a cold plunger. Now, I actually don't disagree on the health benefits of a cold plunge. Like, I think that the Scandinavians were on something there where, or I don't know who does that. Is it the Scandinavians or is it people? I don't know, but there's some European people, like, they literally get up and swim in their ice cold lake every morning and then like get in the sauna afterwards and like, or steam room. And I think that, like, I'm not going to disregard that. Okay. I give myself a little blast of cold water at the end of my shower. Okay. Like, it does feel good. I'm not going to lie. But when people get like a little bit too into cold plunging, when they start talking too much about it, when they claim that it changed their life, like, that to me is just a kind of a dog whistle for people that are into weirder stuff. Like, it's never just a cold plunge. It's always got to devolve into some kind of like weird right-wing conspiracy, right? So Andy Elliott is a cold plunge truther, as I'm going to call him. He says that cold plunges aren't just a trend. They're a test of grit, resilience, and power. So he also is hawking the cold plunge product. Like, he appears to be some kind of affiliate for a cold plunge brand, Cryo, CRYO. This guy is not just recommending mouth tape and cold plunges because it's good for you and it will help you sell more cars. He's hawking this shit because it's making him money. And I feel bad for people that like genuinely look to this guy for advice. I feel bad for the people who have to sit through trainings that their boss made them go to because they think that Andy Elliott is going to help their team increase their sales numbers. Like, first of all, I can't believe that any sales, car dealership, whatever, solar panel company, I really cannot believe that anyone worth their salt would hire Andy Elliott to come teach their team. Like, he's built his whole empire on lies and fraud. Like, his whole selling point is that he made $715,000 selling cars one year, when that is just not true. That's just a lie. The money he did make was based off of fraudulent loans. Like, to me, if a car dealership would hire him to come in and train their sales team, that is like a massive red flag. I honestly think that they should be investigated, because what, are you trying to get your sales team to also commit fraud? Like, everything about him is just so shady, and I can't believe he has any like authority in the space. It's so crazy how these delusional men like have such cult followings, because it's based on nothing. All he does is wear his stupid tight pants and yell at people, and I'm assuming he makes a lot of money doing this. Like, probably way more money than he did fake selling cars. You know what I mean? And he gets on Instagram and pretends like he knows the secret to not only making a bunch of money, but also having the best marriage and staying in shape, when he was corresponding with his higher up, sending explicit emails. How are you going to sit in front of me and tell me that you are the authority on having a good marriage? It's laughable, quite frankly. Now, for all my fellow peers that love to wake up in the morning, hit the snooze button, and relish in those additional 10 minutes of sleep, I have one more Andy Elliott video for you that might help you become a millionaire. Who knows?
You guys say, I'm gonna get up 5 o'clock and go to the gym. You hit that snooze button, you're hitting the snooze button on God, on your wife, and on your kids, on your business, and on yourself. Would you guys stay in a relationship with somebody that constantly lied to you? That's why you guys don't respect yourself anymore.
So yeah, I hate to break it to you all, but if you are hitting the snooze button, you're actually snoozing on God, your wife, your business, etc. And you don't have any self-respect because you're built on a story of lies, which seems like the call is coming from inside the house. I'm not so sure, though. It's crazy how much he cares about men's physiques. Like, he is so hell-bent on making sure that all the guys he's talking to know that they're fat, ugly losers who don't know how to sell cars. Okay, here's another audio that I have to play for you. Sorry.
Get in the mirror, go strip down butt naked, ask yourself, is this really me? A loser. Is this who I am? Whoever you're around is letting you be lazy. Oh, my people care. Really? No, dude, they just don't give a shit. If you were made for more, tell me how they're pushing you. Tell me how they're stretching you. Tell me. They're not? Don't tell me they care.
And the ending like card on that reel said, when you take full responsibility of your outcomes, you gain the power to change your destiny. Share if you agree. 1 share equals 1 6-pack of abs that will help you sell cars. I mean, I know it's talked a lot about how hard the standards that women are held to in terms of their looks and in terms of their physique, but I do really feel bad for young men who are watching this kind of content, because Andy Elliott is not unique. Like, he's not the only guy that yells at you and tells you that the only reason your life sucks is because you're not hitting the gym enough. You know what I mean? And I mean, it's terrifying that there is a generation of young men and boys who are being raised on the internet who are falling into these dangerous circles of content creators, right? Like, this is if like think about like a 12, 13, 14-year-old boy watching this stuff, like, that is poisoning their brains. And I know that there's boys with their brains being poisoned because I've been finding this niche of influencers on, once again, Instagram Reels of like little tween-age boys making alpha male motivational content like this. And I cannot even imagine the damage that these creators like Andy Elliott are having on their developing brains. Like, not to be like, who will think of the boys, but like, this is not, as much as girls, like teenage girls, are in danger of seeing this kind of rhetoric on the internet, like, it's happening to boys too. I have to show you this guy that I started following because I needed to keep, I just was so fascinated by the niche of like tween-age manosphere content creators. I think it's disgusting. I think it's so sad that these boys are doing this with their life instead of like having normal, healthy childhoods. But I'm going to play you the audio from one of these little kid entrepreneur business influencers. Okay. I'm not going to share his name or his profile because definitely a minor, and I feel weird about his content and I don't want to advertise it, but I will share the audio.
If you want to learn how to make up to $5,000 per month, watch this video. You're probably like, how do you actually do this, and why would I listen to just a kid on the internet? So let me tell you. So basically what you do is actually create your own personal lawn mowing business. By that, I mean you literally just cut grass, trim the grass, edge the grass, and blow leftover grass away, and that's literally it. And when you actually start and take action, it will even get easier, and you'll just get used to it. And it's really not even hard to start. You literally just need some equipment, a mower, you can get a trimmer and edger, or just a trimmer that edges, and a blower, and maybe some more stuff to transport your actual equipment, depends how you will transport it. And that's literally it. You don't even have to spend too much money. It's a good amount of money spent, but it's worth it. That's how to and why and like all that. But if you actually want to get really in depth with this and start it and scale it and grow it, then go to my YouTube channel in my bio, Peter Mathis 116, and you will find a free, very high valued lawn mowing business full course. I need telling you how to scale it, grow it, start it, literally everything you need to start making up to $5,000 per month. That's all for today's video. See you guys in the next one. See ya.
Now this kid there's no way he's more than 13 years old. I know he does not have a driver's license, so I don't quite know how he's transporting his lawnmower materials, but Yeah, in case it was a little hard to understand because he is 12 years old, so he talks like a 12-year-old, a lack of enunciation. I'll summarize it for you. He is getting on Instagram telling people how to make $5,000 a month. And the way that you do that is you start a lawn mowing business, okay? Because that's what you do when you're a little kid, right? But he has this other company, I use that word loosely, I in quotes once again, called Dream Achieve, where he, according to this video, has free courses available to teach other little kids how to scale their lawnmower businesses. And what's so sad about this to me, because I was also a little kid with an entrepreneurial spirit, right? I was selling and making lip gloss when I was a little kid. I was always starting some kind of new little kid business. And to be honest with you, I think that's why I have chosen the path that I have today. Like, I think that I always had a little bit of an entrepreneurial spirit in me, but this kid is taking it to a level of like hustle and grind set that like is really like scary to see. Like, you can tell that I'm scared where kids like this who are watching this content, kids like him who are making this content, where are they going to be? Like, it's really upsetting to see teenagers motivated completely by money. It's real. Like, I wasn't motivated. I didn't even have a concept of what $5,000 was when I was his age. Like, it's just really uncanny to be seeing this type of content coming out of this age group. And there's another guy I'm going to show you as well, another kidfluencer who makes kind of hustle and grind set content like this. Now, this kid has a much bigger audience than the previous kid. The video I had you listen to a second ago, that kid only has about 1,200 followers on Instagram. So that was kind of a mythical For You page pull, honestly. I can't believe I just ran across him. His videos average like 2,000-3,000 views. This kid, though, has a much bigger platform. He has about 156,000 followers, and his views are, he gets like 20,000, 30,000. There's a fair amount of videos that have like 600,000 views, kind of in that range. So much bigger platform here for this guy that I'm about to show you. And this one is a bit more sinister because there's some real far right rhetoric that is happening. And I do think that this guy's maybe a little bit older. He's maybe reading as 14 or 15. I don't really know. I'm bad at estimating kids' ages because in my head, like a kid is either a baby or a toddler or like 13. Like, I don't know. I can't gauge ages very well, but if I had to guess, this guy's a little bit older than the previous influencer. So here's a little sampling of what his content is like.
I don't get why people trade 5 years of pleasure for 50 years of pain when they could literally go through those 5 years of pain and then have 50 years of pleasure. What are you going to choose? Follow me for more tips like this.
Follow me for more tips like this. Bro, what was the tip? Also, you're 14. What are you talking about? 5 years of pleasure for 50 years of pain. What are you even talking about? You don't even have your driver's license yet, bitch.
People say money is the key to happiness. That's totally not true. The key to happiness is freedom, and the key to freedom is money. Wait, what? There's 1,440 minutes in every single day. On average, people sleep for about 440 minutes. So that means you have 1,000 minutes every day to do whatever you want. Don't think about it as minutes, though. Think about it as dollars. If somebody's arguing with you for 15 minutes, don't throw out the 985 other dollars just because you're sad. Obviously, you want to make the most of your time. Follow me for more tips like this.
Follow me for more tips like this. Awesome. Thanks, kiddo. Like, to me, this is just so sad and like clearly the result of like Andy Elliott brain poisoning. Like, this guy, I know this kid got the idea to make content like this, and he learned how to talk and what kind of cadence to use and what kind of buzzwords to use from watching other men do this. And like, I am really I do fear for this generation of boys. Like, what is it? Is this Gen Alpha? Are we talking about Gen Alpha here? I'm pretty sure we are. I don't know why I always assume that Gen Alpha is like 5 years old, but I think they're like 14, 15 right now. I'm nervous. I'm nervous about the level of brain poisoning that's happening to these kids that are consuming this kind of content all the time. Because it might seem innocuous, like it might just seem like he's motivating people to work hard and create the life they want and make a lot of money, which I guess to me isn't completely innocuous. Like that is a bit dark-sided on its own. But when we get to the point where creators like this kid is making political content, they're not even old enough to vote, but they are making right-wing content, like that is really frightening. So let me give you an example of that.
Did you know that U.S. taxpayers have paid over $175 billion to fund the Ukraine war? To put that into perspective, you could have built the U.S. border wall to stop illegal immigration 7 times over. Was funding this war in the best interests of our country? Genuine question, am I going to need to be fighting in World War III because Taylor Swift has convinced over 100 million Swifties to vote for Camilla?
Okay. There's a lot to unpack from that 5-second TikTok, but I really don't have the time to do that right now.
Donald Trump was open fired at during his campaign in Pennsylvania. This is pretty ironic because not only did the assassination fail, I personally believe this sealed the deal as him to be the next president. What do you think? Did this assassination attempt help his campaign?
I mean, I just think that shit like that is like really, I mean, this guy is like years away from even being able to vote. And I don't think there's anything wrong with little kids being involved in like politics, but this is like clearly the result of being involved in these right-wing manosphere spaces from a very young age. It's clear to me that this kid has been consuming right-wing content, red pill content specifically, like since he was like 8 years old. And it's like, I'm just very curious. I'm very nervous to see if as kids like this get older, they maybe start to deconstruct some of these beliefs, or if they're just going to get pulled further and further down the far right pipeline. Because I think that's maybe the bigger possibility. I think this is the natural conclusion of this podcast episode. I could go on for hours and hours and hours because there is no shortage of this kind of content, either from the Andy Elliott crowd and adjacent influencers or from the brain-rotted child influencers who are hawking this same kind of content. But honestly, the more I think about it, the more upset that I get. I think it's upsetting that we are going to have a generation of boys that were basically raised on brain rot alpha male influencers. I think that is a net negative in the world. I really do. And I'm not anti-phone. I'm not anti-social media. I do think, though, that there is obviously I was on the internet when I was a kid. Like, I had Tumblr, I had Instagram, like, the day it came out when I was, like, 14. But I just think that's different than these kids who have been watching this kind of red pill content since they were, like, 7, 8 years old. Like, these are the kids that have had an iPad in their face since they were babies. And I just think that there's going to be a cost to pay in terms of the propaganda online that they have been seeing. And yeah, I don't know. I don't have like a larger conclusion to this video. I just mostly wanted to dive into the crazy town banana pants world of Andy Elliott, mostly so that I could purge him from my brain because I've been consuming this. And thank God I started this podcast so I can have an outlet for this bullshit that I consume. But yeah, now you know. Now you know the story of Andy Elliott, Big Red Dealerships, and his fraudulent loans, and the fact that he sold out his 3 coworkers to the FBI so that he could receive immunity for these crimes. So, yeah, I will see you next time. Don't forget to rate and review if you're so inclined. I would really appreciate it. I am thirsty for some fresh Apple Podcast reviews. So, if you're feeling maybe like you want to leave one, I would adore that. Okay, bye. Thanks for listening. See you next week.